Cleveland County. We're back with Cleveland County Kitchen. I'm Debra Blanton, and this is our farmer today, Elbert Hoyle. He lives in the upper part of the county, kind of near Toluca. Is that right?
In between Toluca and Kaiser.
Okay.
Kaiser's that way and Toluca's that way.
All right, good. Well, it's a pretty day, kind of chilly. I guess I'm all wrapped up. That's pretty obvious. So, Delbert, tell the folks a little bit about how you got started in farming, and then we'll move on to what vegetables you have.
Well, I guess started farming when I was real young. Probably farmed about all my life. When I was young, we had a garden, and it just progressed from there. And then I worked for MDI for Merchants Distributors for 25 years, but I always farmed part-time on the side. And then when I quit them, I've gone to full-time produce.
We're targeting folks. A local farmer who's growing greens, and we have several different types of greens that Elbert farms. So if you'll just tell us about those.
Well, we have called an Oriental green called Zen. It's kind of like a collard, but it's a little bit different. But you prepare it about in the same way as a collard. And then we have turnips, which are down there, and then we have collards, kale, and some cabbage.
All right, so this is Zen, is that right?
This is Zen, sure is.
Okay, and this appears to be not quite as tall as a collard might be.
It spreads out a little more.
Uh-huh.
The leaves will get as big or bigger than the collard in the right condition.
Will they?
Oh,
okay. All right, now we're in the turnip patch, which is right adjacent to the Zen patch. And Elbert, if you'll pull up one of these turnips, I've never seen a white turnip.
It's a white turnip.
I mean, and that really, are they any sweeter than the regular turnip?
I think they're a little sweeter, and they grow a little faster. You can have turnips quicker than with those purple crops. They grow a little slower.
Okay. And of course, the greens are edible too.
The greens are too. These are frozen a little bit. I'd say those right there would be good.
All right, we're down here in the collard patch now, and as you can see, these are much taller than the, what did you call them?
Zen.
Than the Zen.
Zen, yeah.
And these look like more coarse leaves than the Zen. So, and these have got a really big vein in them where I guess you'd want to pull them.
I think you would on these, or at least part of it.
Out.
Some people say they just cut the edge of it off and don't take it all the way out. And some people strip them all the way out. So it's preference.
But the frost hasn't really hurt these very much. So, and of course it goes all the way out there.
Go ahead.
Yeah. All right, this is kale, and if you don't mind, Elbert, I'm just going to pick one of these, and you know, it's kind of filigreed leaves, but and I guess there are different kinds of kale because there's some kale that has a bite to it.
Yeah, and more curly, I think. The leaves are
more exactly. Yeah. But this is sweet. I've already had a bite of this. And it's sweet, so you can eat all these raw too.
I've heard of people making salads out of it, but I've always cooked.
Yeah. Oh, but of course with kale, you can make kale chips too. I believe you just mentioned that.
Kale chips.
So.
And it's one of the healthier greens for you.
Exactly. Yeah. So this is all winter products.
Correct.
And we've already discussed there are no bugs in the wintertime, so it's almost organic, which I think is a good point to when you're talking about winter vegetables, especially greens. But you also do other things in the summertime?
I do other things in the summer. Start out again in the spring, maybe with spring cabbage, and then go to squash, and cucumbers, tomatoes, peppers, sweet corn, just a little bit of everything and not much of anything. But pretty good selection of stuff.
So, and when the farmers market's down in Shelby, you're down there on Saturdays?
Try to be on Saturdays.
Sure
do.
And then, of course, we've got another market in Cleveland County in Kings Mountain.
I've never been there, but I've got a neighbor that does that.
Okay. But, and then there's a farmer's market in Gastonia.
Gastonia, that's where I go 3 days a week, Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday.
Okay.
In season, now the season's ending now.
Right.
Okay.
And we are in the studio now with Nancy Abasiekong, who is the Cooperative Extension agent for the Family and Consumer Services. And she is here this afternoon to talk about the nutritional value of the foods that you just saw growing on Mr. Hoyle's property. Nancy, welcome.
Thank you, Deborah.
And if you want to just run down all the vegetables that you'd like to talk about today and the value of the nutritional value of the product. And I think you have some interesting ways that you can prepare these greens.
Yes, indeed. We are glad to be featuring leafy greens, or dark leafy greens, they're often referred to. And there are many different individual vegetables that are actually in this group. Right off we'll think of collards, and of course we saw collards growing there on the farm. Turnip greens, and with turnip greens of course come turnips. The greens are at the top of the turnip, purple turnips or white turnips, and we'll be showing some of the white turnips, and Dante is going to be using some of those in the foods that he's going to be preparing today.
Correct.
Then we have mustard greens. Also in this group would be kale, that's very popular now, spinach, and even some of the lettuces like romaine lettuce. We're not featuring the lettuces today, but in the leafy greens category, you could also include romaine lettuce, leaf lettuce, arugula, and several different things like that. Swiss chard.
And those grow during the winter. Am I correct with that? Or?
Well, more the heavier greens would be during the winter.
Okay.
So we are featuring here for our December Cleveland County Kitchen the things that are more available during the winter, and that would be then the collards, kale, mustard, turnip, and then cabbage.
Exactly.
And of course, these greens are part of the cabbage family, and one that they don't grow in a head like cabbage does, but they're loose and grow in a bunch. We would refer to them as a bunch.
Okay. Well, so if you want to talk about some of the nutrients that you find in these leafy green vegetables.
Okay. Green vegetables, and the darker the color, the more nutrient dense they are. But all of the greens are very nutritious and have lots of vitamins and minerals and other antioxidants and so forth. So they're very, very important to our overall health. And most Americans actually need to eat more fruits and vegetables. So we could add more, and of course with my plate, the new dietary guidelines, which are not that new and are actually under revision. We may see some changes next year. But it recommends eating 1/2 of our plate that should be fruit or vegetables. And if a person is diabetic, then we would say half of the plate would be a leafy or some type of vegetable that's not starchy, not a starchy vegetable. But when you think about what we get from collards and kale and the other dark leafy vegetables, it would be things like vitamin A, rich source of vitamin A, vitamin C, vitamin K, and of course these different vitamins have to do with healthy skin, eyes. Vitamin K would have to do with blood clotting and our immune system, and our overall health just depends on eating a good variety of fruits and vegetables and a variety of colors, with green being one of the dominant and easy to get colors.
Well, I do know that if you cook something to death, that you sort of, or that you can destroy all the nutrients values. And of course, some of the greens that we're going to be showing in the kitchen, like collards and sweet greens, I know you can kind of cook them to death as well. So do you have sort of a rule of thumb about maybe the tougher the leafy green, maybe you cook that so many more minutes or anything like that?
Yes, here in the South we do tend to overcook, actually, and you do lose a lot of the nutrients. And of course, if we're cooking in a lot of liquid, a lot of water, then we're diluting a lot of those nutrients as well. So if we'll think in terms of many different ways to prepare, you can saute greens. You can, if you want to boil them or do more of a stewing type of method, then really in about 20 to 30 minutes, even collards, because you're going to cut them up.
Right.
You know, so and we'll talk a little bit too about how to wash and prepare greens, because while we're thinking about the nutrients, not only can the nutrients be lost in overcooking, but they can be lost by keeping them too long. You want to use your greens within 3 to 5 days. Once you bring them in, being picked, bringing them home, and in storing those, like most vegetables, you don't wash them until you're ready to use, but you can store them in the refrigerator in a damp paper towel, just in an open plastic bag. You don't need to seal the bag up.
Good.
In an open plastic bag with the damp towel around that bunch of greens. And again, planning to use them. Now, if you're purchasing more, or maybe you have them growing in your garden and you need to preserve them for longer than that, greens are easy to freeze. And they again, you would blanch them like all other vegetables. Most other vegetables need to be blanched. Collards would be about 3 minutes. But again, once you've washed it thoroughly, and we'll talk just a bit about that, chop them, then blanch in your boiling water. Collards or a tough green like that would be 3 minutes. Other types of greens that are softer, more tender, would be 2 minutes in your boiling water. Then take them out, immediately put them in your ice water to stop the cooking.
Good.
And then lift them out of that and drain. Because again, you don't want to soak your greens, because you can again lose nutrients that way.
All right. Well, Nancy, our time is up. Thank you so much for coming. What you weren't able to discuss will be in the newsletter, and of course it will be all on the website, the Cooperative Extension's website. And stay tuned, Cleveland County. We are going to now move into the kitchen, and Chef Dante Parrott will be showing how to prepare all of these vegetables.
History books have many things in common. None omit the American Revolution, the Constitution, the story of slavery, but most will, to a degree, omit or ignore the story of religion in our lives. I'm Phil Smith, and I'm the host of a new show on C19 TV, which we call Keeping the Faith. Join my guest and I as we reconsider the role that religion plays here in Cleveland County, as well as throughout America, here on Keeping the Faith. See you soon.
One of the great things about movies is how many different types of movies get made. We try to cover all of that on Meet Me at the Movies. Unfortunately, I'm hampered somewhat by the fact that Inslee's taste is just awful.
What do you mean my taste is just awful?
Just because I enjoy a movie that you can watch in less than 5 hours and doesn't have subtitles for languages that don't even really exist.
The Japanese so totally exist. Anytime it's black and white, your eyes roll back in your head.
You know the reason he doesn't like 3D? He just can't handle things flying at his face, which he's about to find out about once those cameras go off.
Welcome back, Cleveland County. This is the third segment of our December show of Cleveland County Kitchen. My name is Debra Blanton, and I am here today with Dante Parrott, who is a chef here in Cleveland County. He's been at several locations. He's been at the Country Club for several years, and now he is working out at Deerbrook. We are highlighting today collards, but included with the collards we have kale, we have sweet greens, we have cabbage, and we're going to show you how to prepare all of these things for a very healthful vegetable meal. Dante?
All right. First of all, what we're going to do is start off with the collard greens. What you want to do is grab you some fresh collard greens from a local market somewhere, and make sure they're good and fresh. Don't have any spots on them. Cut the ends of them off. What I like to do is take them and wash them real quick up under some cold water.
So we're washing these greens. Dante mentioned from someplace in the store, of course, we have our local farmers as well. Of course, Elbert Hoyle, we're highlighting in the month of December, and he provided us with all the greens that you're seeing here today.
What you want to do is take them and you want to lay them flat, just like this. Take them and cut them straight down the middle. And then take them and cut them crossways, just kind of a quick dice. Once you get your once you get all your greens diced up, get your regular white or yellow onion. And what you want to do is take it and cut both ends off, just like that. Cut it straight in half. Just peel your peeling off of it.
Oh, that makes it a lot easier, doesn't it? Yes. Woo.
And this is what we call it's just a regular julienne. And we're going to cut these up real quick. And just turn it that way and cut your onions just like that. That's what we call a quick julienne.
So we're going to add the onion and to the collards, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Mm-hmm. And this is a ham hock. You can use a regular ham hock, or you can go to any kind of local market and get them smoked. This one is smoked, and I like to use smoked because it's got better flavor to it. Mm-hmm. So what you want to do is get your pot. Put your collard greens in there. Throw your onions in with your collard greens.
I like the onion, yes, absolutely.
Then you throw your ham hock in there along with your onions and your collard greens. Then what you want to do is take a little bit of a sugar. You don't need much. Sugar actually helps enhance the flavor of any type of green, as far as kale, collard greens, or sweet greens, anything like that. So just put you a little bit of sugar in there. And then what you want to do is just take just a little dash of pepper.
Okay.
Always use kosher salt because it's better than iodine salt. And just put
then,
you a little bit of salt.
And you were explaining that the grains are a little bit bigger, and it doesn't make the vegetables so salty as iodized salt would do.
Yes, ma'am. And what I've done, you can go to any kind of market and get you some fat back, salted fat back. I've already got some prepared. All you want to do is cook your fat back and make sure that you get it nice and crispy, just like that. And then you want to take your grease and pour it inside. Mm-hmm. And we're going to save a little bit of this grease for our sauteed kale.
Okay.
Now once you put your greens in your pot, this is important. Do not fill your pot up with a lot of water. Make sure you fill your pot up just enough to cover your greens. That way you don't lose a lot of your flavor in your water.
Or nutrients.
And your nutrients.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. All right, so we have collards, we have onion, which is a great idea, a little sugar, some salt, some pepper, and some fat. And I would think, Dante, we could use any kind of, like, maybe for people watching their diet, they could use olive oil instead.
Yes, if you don't want to use fat back or anything like that, or bacon fat, you can always use olive oil. It's a little healthier for you, but you get a lot of flavor from your grease, from your pork.
Mm-hmm.
But if you choose not to use pork, just use olive oil, or you can actually use grapeseed oil, and it'll do the same thing.
Oh, okay. Well, that's great.
Now, once you get it all cooked down, this is what your finished product's going to look like. And you can just serve it in a serving dish just like that. You can eat the ham hock. It's got great flavor to it.
So you have your meat and your vegetable right there.
Your meat and your vegetable right there. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to cook the collard greens too long. You just want to get them nice and tender until probably about an hour, maybe hour and a half, and they'll be done.
Now, will they cook down?
Yes, ma'am. They'll cook down into your pot. That's why I say don't put a lot of water in your pot, because if you do, it takes away from a lot of your flavor in your collard greens. And once they cook down, you get them nice and tender, they're good to go.
Okay.
All right.
So we've got our collards.
So we've got our
Now we're
collard
getting
greens.
ready to do the
What I want to do
kale.
next, I'm going to take a little bit of this fatback grease. We're going to pour it in our pan. We got a hot pan here. We're going to pour a little bit of that fatback grease in there. Then what you want to do is take a little bit of bacon. I've got fresh bacon. You want to take and dice it. Just in little small chunks. Once you get your bacon diced up, you want to take it and put it in your pan. Now what we're going to do is render this bacon down, and all you want to do is just cook it just for a few minutes till you get it kind of crispy. It's going to release a lot of grease into your pan before we put our kale into it.
And how you prepared the kale, Dante? I saw you do it. You got it all together?
I've got some kale already here cut up, but this is fresh kale. What you want to do is just take it, kind of line it all up just like that, and just give it a rough chop. It doesn't really have to be cut real fine, just kind of chop it up that way. And this is what you'll end up with, a finished product like that. Once we get this bacon rendered down, we'll throw our kale in with it. Now if you would like, you can also throw a couple of onions in there with your kale if you like to have onions in it.
And what about garlic?
Garlic, you can use also garlic. If you want to use fresh garlic, you can use fresh garlic. What I have here is a little bit of red peppers, and this is crushed red peppers. You can also use fresh red peppers if you like to.
Oh, okay.
So what I'm going to do is take just a little bit of these red peppers and throw in there with it. And it just gives your greens a little bit more flavor.
Now, are those from a jar, or is that...
These are from a can, yes.
From a
You
can.
can buy them in any kind of grocery store. They're diced pimentos, actually.
Oh, okay.
But like I said, if you don't have any diced pimentos, you can also use fresh red peppers, and they'll give it the same flavor.
Okay.
Now we got our bacon rendered down pretty good. We're going to go ahead and take and put our kale inside.
And this to me is, it looks like you have a lot of kale in that pan.
Yep.
But
looks
when
like
when it cooks down, there's just not that much there.
It'll wilt down the longer it cooks. And once again, you want to take a little bit of sugar and sprinkle a little bit of sugar over top of your green.
Okay, that's
A lot of
good.
people don't understand, but sugar, it helps enhance any flavor of any type of green, as far as kale, collard greens, sweet greens, or even green beans. So just put a little bit of sugar in there.
That's good.
We're going to put a little dash of pepper.
We'll be cooking green beans this coming summer, so that'll be a good thing to remember.
I like to add a little bit of kosher salt, just a tad bit. You can always season it more after you finish cooking it. Make sure you don't get it too salty. I've got red pepper flakes. What you need to do is just put just a couple dashes of red pepper flakes in there. You don't need many red pepper flakes, because if you put too many in there, as they cook, they'll get hot.
You mean they'll taste hot?
Yes, ma'am.
It'll get the heat from the peppers, okay? Now, and I'm sorry, Dante, did you add vinegar to the collards yet?
I haven't put the vinegar in the collards yet, but I don't add vinegar to the kale because it doesn't really need it.
Okay.
It's got a different little flavor to it than collard greens do, and you just kind of want to saute them with a little salt and pepper, just a tad bit of sugar. See, right now your kale is starting to wilt down a little bit, so it doesn't really take that long to cook.
Gracious, that's like magic.
And for those who don't like to eat a lot of sauteed greens and a lot of grease, kale is actually very healthy to eat. You can eat it in a salad.
Like raw?
Yes, ma'am. You can take it and put it in a salad with some mandarin oranges, maybe some red onions, some toasted walnuts. Toss it with a little homemade vinaigrette dressing, and you got a homemade salad. Very healthy for you. All right.
Oh, that looks great.
Our kale is just about done.
Yeah. So this you can whip up in...
No time. It won't take but a second.
Yeah. You also have your meat and your vegetable with this, too, with the bacon.
Yes, ma'am. All right. So we've got that done. All right, while kale is cooking a little bit, what I want to do is I want to show you our sweet greens. They're very similar to collard greens, and they're a little more tender than collard greens. Like I said, once again, try to get it from a fresh local market. Make sure they doesn't have any spots, anything like that. If they do, pull them off, wash them real good, and take them, line them all up.
Down the middle.
Cut them straight down the middle.
And stack them up.
Stack them up, and then you just cut straight across, just like that.
We call that julienne as well.
All right. Now once you get your greens cut up, what you want to do is take the same way you do collard greens. You want to take either red or white, yellow onion, dice it up, or julienne, however you choose to do. I've got a pot here. It's already been cooking for a while. And same as I've done the collard greens. You take and put a little bit of sugar. You put a little bit of kosher salt. If you like, you can put a little bit of red pepper flakes. And once again, I've got a ham hock inside. This is a smoked ham hock. You can use a regular ham hock. You can get it in any local grocery store. And simmer it down for maybe an hour, hour and a half, and you're good to go.
So now, do you ever take the lid off and let some of the moisture cook out of that as well?
You can. I mean, once you got them cooked down pretty good, you can take the lid off if you want. The water will evaporate in them as you cook them.
Right,
so,
right.
We actually have some turnips that we put inside these sweet greens. You could also put them, of course, with turnip greens, but if you want to flavor them up just a little bit, get you some white turnips, take them, dice them. You do not have to peel them at all, and they'll add a nice flavor to your greens.
Okay.
So we've got those out the way.
Okay, and I guess we could put those in the colander.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, that's good. Okay.
Well, it looks like our kale is pretty done. So this is our finished product here. Once you get it nice and wilted, this is what it will look like. And you can serve it with any dish that you like. You can eat it just like it is by itself. Like I say, if you choose not to saute it, you can always use it and cut it up just like I did. Make you a nice salad with it, and it'll be a nice, healthy salad for you.
Well, thank you, Dante. This has been a real treat, learning about the vegetables and learning about the way to prepare vegetables. And that's so important. They're so good for you. As you've learned from Nancy Abassi-Akong, the Cooperative Extension agent person who we have just interviewed, and she's told you all about these good things about the vegetables. So, thank you again, Dante.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It was nice cooking with you.
Good, absolutely. And stay tuned, Cleveland County. We'll be back in January with another vegetable or other product.